Case Study: Commercial Whaling, Science, Politics, and Ethics by Matthew Moreno. After many of the world's whale species were overharvested, commercial whaling was banned in 1970, but the ban may be overturned. Cetaceans are an order of mostly marine mammals ranging in size from the 0.9-meter porpoise to the giant 15 to 30-meter blue whale. They are divided into two major groups: toothed whales and baleen whales. Toothed whales, such as the porpoise, sperm whale, and killer whale, bite and chew their food and feed mostly on squid, octopus, and other marine animals. Baleen whales, such as the blue, gray, humpback, and finback, are filter feeders. They use plates made of baleen or whalebone that hang down from their upper jaw to filter plankton from the seawater, especially tiny shrimp-like krill. Whales are fairly easy to kill because of their large size and their need to come to the surface to breathe. Mass slaughter became efficient with the use of radar and airplanes to locate them, fast ships, harpoon guns, and inflation lances that pump dead whales full of air and make them float. Whale harvesting, mostly in international waters, has followed the classic pattern of a tragedy of the commons, with whalers killing an estimated 1.5 million whales between 1925 and 1975. This overharvesting reduced the population of 8 of the 11 major species to the point at which it is no longer paid to hunt and kill them. Commercial extinction. It also drove some commercially prized species such as the giant blue whale to the brink of biological extinction. In 1946, the International Convention for the Regulation of Whaling established the International Whaling Commission, the IWC. Its mission was to regulate the whaling industry by setting annual quotas to prevent overharvesting and commercial extinction. This did not work well for two reasons. First, IWC quotas often were based on inadequate data or ignored by whaling countries. Second, without powers of enforcement, the IWC was not able to stop the decline of most commercially hunted whale species. In 1970, the United States stopped all commercial whaling and banned all imports of whale products. Under pressure from conservationists, the U.S. government and governments of many non-whaling countries in the IWC has imposed a moratorium on commercial hunting since 1986. It worked. The estimated number of whales killed commercially worldwide dropped from 42,480 in 1970 to about 1,300 in 2005. Despite the ban, Japan, Norway, and Iceland killed about 1,300 whales of certain species each year for scientific purposes. Critics see these whale hunts as poorly disguised commercial whaling because the whale meat is sold to restaurants with each whale worth up to $30,000 wholesale. In 2005, Japan more than doubled its whaling catch, allegedly for scientific purposes, from 440 minke whales to 850 minke whales and 10 fin whales, and began overharvesting humpback whales in 2006. Japan, Norway, Iceland, Russia, and a growing number of small tropical island countries, which Japan brought into the IWC to support its position, hope to overthrow the IWC ban on commercial whaling and reverse the international ban on buying and selling whale products. They argue that commercial whaling should be allowed because it has been a traditional part of the economies and cultures of their countries. They also contend that the ban is based on emotion, not on updated scientific estimates of whale populations. The moratorium on commercial whaling has led to a sharp rebound in the estimated populations of sperm, pilot, and minke whales. Proponents of whaling see no scientific reason for not resuming controlled and sustainable hunting of these and other whale species with populations of at least 1 million. They argue that proposed hunting levels are too low to deplete stocks, and Japan and other pro-whaling nations have agreed to a plan to allow independent observers on whaling vessels. They may also agree to a system that uses DNA tests of whale meat in markets to determine whether or not it came from whales killed according to IWC rules. Most conservationists disagree. Some argue that whales are peaceful, intelligent, sensitive, and highly social mammals that pose no threat to humans and that should be protected for ethical reasons. Others question IWC estimates of the allegedly recovered whale species, noting the inaccuracy of past estimates of whale populations. Also, many conservationists fear that opening the door to any commercial whaling may eventually lead to widespread harvest of most whale species by weakening current international disapproval and legal sanctions against commercial whaling. People in the whale watching business also argue that whales are worth more alive than dead. Each year, about 10 million people go onto whale watching boats in the world's 1 billion a year whale watching business. Proponents of resuming whaling say that people in other countries have no right to tell Japanese, Norwegians, and people in other whaling countries not to eat whales just because some people like whales. This would be the same as people in India who consider cows sacred telling Americans and Europeans that they should not be allowed to eat beef. How would you vote?